for a flashback? Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 trends of the 1980s.
Leg warmers! Jerry girl! Where's the beef?
For our series of the top 10 trends per decade, we're taking a look at the fashions, films, music, and more that was popular in a certain era. These are those famous trends that have come to represent that decade and that have since been parodied to death. Today, we're covering those 10 years when leg warmers, shoulder pads, and big hair were all the rage, the 80s. Number 10, the soundtrack to our lives. Not only did the 1980s see the explosion of the blockbuster, it also saw movie soundtracks become big business. Love 'em or lose 'em, movies like Dirty Dancing, Say Anything, or even The Breakfast Club were renowned for their tunes. But there was one guy in particular that cleaned up based on his soundtrack contributions. Kenny Loggins. Hailed as the king of the movie soundtrack, Loggins' music appeared in greats like Caddyshack, Top Gun, Over the Top, and even Footloose, and kept everybody's toes tapping throughout the decade. Number 9, Bright and Bold.
The gray skies out of my way.
Neon stuff was absolutely everywhere in the 80s, and it was definitely hard to miss. From signs to fashion accessories, from pants to posters, blindingly bright colors became a new stylish decoration that went hand in hand with almost anything deemed self-expressive. From hot pink to electric green, neon yellow to electric blue, this color palette could be found in pop culture, on the streets, and everywhere in between. Come on, admit it, you rocked a neon cap in the 80s.
We doing all right, huh?
Number 8, Coming of Age with John Hughes.
What's happening, hot stuff?
The 1980s were the decade to be a teen, and no one knew that more than John Hughes, with the possible exception of Molly Ringwald and the Brat Pack.
Why? Because I'm telling the truth? That makes me a bitch?
You can bet that almost everyone who grew up in the 80s can repeat the highly quotable dialogue of at least one Hughes coming-of-age tale on demand.
Does Barry Manilow know that you raid his wardrobe?
Bueller.
I can't believe I gave my panties to a geek.
If you want to be a party animal, you have to learn to live in the jungle.
I just want to let them know that they didn't break me.
Famous for their farcical nature and relatable storylines, John Hughes movies almost always touch on growing up, making them 80s classics, timeless cinema cornerstones, and signifiers of teen culture's newfound importance.
Score a direct hit.
On second thought.
Number 7, Rise of the Subgenre. With the death of disco came a rise in individualism. With that individualism came the desire for musicians not to be pigeonholed into the same old categories of rock, pop, or other. That's why the 1980s saw a slew of musical subgenres that gave people new ways to find their own niche social groups. For example, hip-hop sparked b-boying and breakdancing, rock music spawned glam, indie, and many punk shoot-offs, and synth-heavy new wave practically took over, ensuring there was something for everyone. Number 6, Music on the Go.
Dude is rocking cassette player.
If you walked around with a Walkman on your hip or a boombox to your ear, chances are you were an 80s kid. Though the boombox gained popularity in the 70s, it really earned a foothold in the 80s with hip-hop and breakdancing culture. But the Walkman totally stole its thunder. As pervasive as the iPod, the Sony Walkman allowed people to bring their music with them anywhere they went, without bothering anyone around them. That means mixtapes were not far behind.
Now, the making of a good compilation tape is a very subtle art, many do's and don'ts. First of all, you're using someone else's poetry to express how you feel. This is a delicate thing.
Number 5, greed is good.
Greed is right. Greed works.
Call it preppy or call it yuppie, but it was more than slick back hair, V-neck sweaters, and a stuck-up attitude. Otherwise known as a young urban professional, the yuppie was a 20 or 30-something who was part of the middle to upper class, and this socioeconomic group came to the forefront during the 80s. Being a yuppie earned a bad reputation for the inherent trend toward materialism and the apparent superiority complex involved.
Look at that subtle off-white coloring. The tasteful thickness of it. Oh my God. It even has a watermark.
Accurate or not, the group's growth was slowed and eventually stopped due to 1987's Wall Street crash.
I have a lunch meeting at Hubert's in 20 minutes with Ronald Harrison, and I need those sheets cleaned by this afternoon. Listen, I cannot understand you! This is crazy!
Number 4, in the toy box. If you noticed a lot of toy commercials during your Saturday morning cartoons in the 80s, you were not imagining things.
That is correct.
Companies were finally allowed to market directly to kids, and the result was toys of all kinds. On the one hand, you had creative toys, on the other, cute and cuddly. You also saw the beginnings of the must-have toy trend, with Cabbage Patch dolls leading the pack.
Cabbage Patch Kids are each sold separately. Each doll comes with a pretend birth certificate and adoption papers.
Oh yeah, and let's not forget, it was during the 80s that home video game consoles finally gained traction.
Only from Nintendo. Now you're playing with power.
Number 3, big hair, big makeup. In the 80s, crazy cuts and melodramatic makeup became yet another method of expressing your personality and style. Whether it was a musician like Madonna or a leading lady like Demi Moore or Julia Roberts, the stars led the way with their puffed-up hair, curls, and expertly painted faces. But let's not forget the guys. They had the ever-masculine mullet, as popularized by celebrities like tennis player Andre Agassi.
Andre Agassi sees the ball earlier than any player on the tour.
Number 2, I want my cable TV. When cable TV hit the mainstream, it not only gave the big 3 American networks a run for their money, it also gave the world easier access to specialized programming that suited their tastes. Whether your interest was sports, comedy, or music, there was something for you on cable. CNN and HBO definitely changed television forever, but it was perhaps MTV that left the most indelible impression. By offering the average music lover greater insight into their favorite bands via live performances and music videos.
Too much?
Yeah, too much.
Never. Too much is never enough.
Before we reveal our number 1 80s trend, here are a few honorable mentions.
Marty! You've got to come back with me. Where? Back to the future.
Mom, some idiot just parked this ugly RV outside our house.
I've got a brand new lunchbox.
The Jetsons.
Number 1, over-the-top fashion. There's only one word to describe 80s fashion: big. Big hair, big accessories, big colors, big everything. In fact, there's something about 80s fashion that's so elaborate that in retrospect, it almost seems like it's from an alternate universe. Whether it was the shoulder pads, the multicolored leg warmers, or those eye-catching Miami Vice suits, fashion in the 80s was all about vibrancy and an aura of affluence and success.
Well, how do I look?
Middle-aged.
Dad, recent studies show you can predict success by the way a person dresses.
Do you agree with our list? What's your favorite fad of the 80s? For more fascinating top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.